coming up in the SEAL team, which is where I grew up, SEAL teams are part of the Navy, but I was never too savvy on what happened in the big Navy, right? Which is a critical part of, obviously, the Navy. The SEAL teams are this small little part, but with a specialized mission. When I was young in my career there, this salty senior enlisted SEAL who actually understood the Navy quite well, he used to use this term. He'd sort of bark it at us, Rudder Check, and I didn't know what that he was referring to, and so I had to ask someone after a while, what is he talking about? And it's probably not exactly proper use of the term from the big Navy, but this friend of mine said, what he means is, let's make sure we're on heading here. And so in the Navy, I'll draw this very poorly here, but if you're going in this direction, back here you've got the propeller that moves you forward, and then behind that is a little flap that's your rudder. And when the rudder moves left or right, the boat turns, right? And so it's connected in old school boats to a wheel up here, right? And so Rudder Check was this guy's way of saying, hey, let's sit down and make sure we're going in the right direction. So at McChrystal Group, we love Navy terminology, and so we use this term Rudder Check. And one of the things that we found over the past year especially, but anytime an organization gets big and distributed and complex, it's really hard to get a sense for the leadership up here and then your sort of mid-level folks, what's happening down here at the front line, right? These tend to be your folks that see the most what's going on in the market. Here's your layer where they're sort of dialoguing back and forth with these folks, and up here we're talking about strategy and telling them how to clear it up, et cetera. But there's inside of that, there are sort of nuances that are happening out in the market. So there's questions about what about this, what about that, or there's questions about, things coming down from the top by layer, why are we focused on this and not this? What's our intent with this piece of the strategy? And these are all these sort of subcultural things that might get lost in the mix. And those are important things for leaders to be aware of. They might not be in the moment critical business decisions, but you want to create an opportunity for awareness of what people at different layers, what's confusing them, what's on their mind, what are they worried about down the road. And so when we look at our own operating rhythm, every week, so we look at through, we have our yearly stuff, our quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, et cetera. Every week we do a Friday sync where the whole team dials in around the world. We spend 2 hours sort of reviewing the business. And we put into that a Rudder Check. And it's our way of saying, this is our weekly opportunity. We want to hear from the organization by any level. And what's on your mind? What are we missing? What do you have questions about? And we do that through, there's sort of a group in our team that it's a rolling responsibility that say, hey, if you have any questions along those lines, you can go to this team. They'll make sure it's in the deck for Friday when we sit down, and the issues will pop up. And it could be from any layer of the organization, but they know once a week, obviously there's a major risk or opportunity or something very out of bounds. You can talk about that at any given point. But if I'm a junior person and say, I'm really wondering, what are we thinking about this potential that's over the horizon, or the Delta variant as a current topic? What if that rears its head and starts to really affect the business? What's our planning there? That's on my mind. Then the senior leadership will, once a week, will say, okay, that's one of the topics we want to talk about this week. Here's what we're thinking about this. Here's how we view it. Here are the risks we weigh. Are there things we're missing there? This person here might say, okay, that's helpful, or there's something else out here that I'm seeing in the market that you might want to know about that might help you clean up your thinking. So in some ways, it's an opportunity to address small things before they get big, right? Those small issues, when they roll a week, a quarter, at the end of the year, you say, wow, we really missed that. And someone will say, well, 9 months ago, I was trying to get everybody's attention. I just didn't have the right opportunity to do it. And again, in a distributed world, that's harder, right? There's no hallway to kind of stop your boss and say, I really have a question about this sort of thing. And so we're big believers in it, right? The idea of a Rudder Check or whatever language would make sense for your organization, building that into your cadence so that you can hear about those small problems before they get too big, we think, is definitely something leaders should be thinking about right now.